I'm so excited to have Landon Gatliff on the podcast. Landon's the founder of Gatliff Marketing Consultants, a small marketing agency based in rural Arkansas that serves businesses and organizations both locally and out of state. Landon's building his agency around a simple belief. Every business is different, and marketing should reflect that. Passionate about serving small businesses and organizations, Landon focuses on helping clients communicate more clearly and connect more effectively with the people they serve. He's especially passionate about storytelling and believes many businesses struggle not because they have a bad product or service, but because they struggle to clearly communicate their value. His faith, relationships, and small-town roots play a major role in how he approaches leadership and business. Landon, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author, and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
Hey, I'd love to start with you sharing a little bit of your story, Landon, with our listeners, particularly around your journey and your development as a leader. How did you get started?
So whenever I was in high school, I was really pushed to be involved in extracurricular activities. And one of those was FBLA. And whenever I was younger, I was always terrified of public speaking, but my mom actually pushed me into doing it. And she told me, Landon, that you have to do this. And I ended up doing public speaking. And it's something that I grew to just really enjoy and really like. And I realized it wasn't as bad as I originally thought it was. And so after that, I joined FBLA, which stands for Future Business Leaders of America. And I've just always been interested in business and politics. And so I was kind of gravitated toward that. And I took up leadership roles in FBLA and was a state officer. And so that really developed some public speaking skills with me. But then also it just helped develop my business journey. And so whenever I was in high school, I was actually a junior in high school whenever I started my business. And so I ran my business throughout high school. And now I'm in college. I do all my college online. And so now I run my business pretty much full time here. And so that's kind of how I got started. And then marketing wise, really why I wanted to do marketing is because I saw just so many small businesses. I live in a pretty rural town. And so I saw so many small businesses just all around here. A lot of the times they just lack marketing wise, kind of to know what to do. And so from their websites to their social media. And so there's a real gap for rural businesses. And that's kind of my niche. And I specialize in helping mostly rural businesses because just businesses in the big city, they're completely different. Really, my approach on marketing is to just really get to understand that specific business, because every single business that, I work with, they have different customers, they have different goals. And even if they might be in a similar category, they're completely different. And so I really take my marketing and try to tailor it specifically to them because I think that's whenever you get the best results, and not trying to temporalize every single product and service as your agency.
And that's fascinating. I want to dive in here because a whole lot of people listening, I imagine, are thinking, wait a minute, you started your agency when you were in high school?
I did, yes.
Like, what was the catalyst for that? Because there's a whole lot of people who did not start a digital marketing agency that young. What caused you to say, man, I think I'm ready to jump into this?
I would say that I've always been very ambitious, but also it was a skill that I know how to do. So originally, whenever I started my business, I was just doing websites, and that's something that I knew how to do. And as time went on, I realized, I should be doing more, and I can be serving my customers better by doing more. And so that's really how it fell all into.
And so now you serve your customers, your clients, with a fully orbed marketing strategy. You're thinking not just about a website, but you're thinking even far beyond this to helping them build their brand, helping them build their digital identity online.
That is correct. So everything from websites to commercials to ads to branding, billboards, all of it. Really, I just want to be able to serve my clients in the best way possible. And so they don't have to outsource to so many different marketing faucets but they can do it through one company. And I believe with that, we're just able to serve on a better level because I'm able to take the time to really get to know that client and understand what they're trying to accomplish.
You know, when I was reading your bio, it said that your faith and your relationships are very important to you, as well as your small town roots. A lot of people listening, like me, are people of faith. How does that intersect running your own business?
So my parents, I've grown up in church all my life. And so they were amazing. They're amazing role models for me, just really modeling that and putting God first in, all my decisions. But, as running a business, it's not easy and it can be testing. And, just one of the things that I found, and maybe some encouragement that I could just offer to anyone listening is that, I found that, just praying and just seeking God whenever you're having struggles, or maybe you're uncertain about what to do business wise or relationship wise, it is so helpful. Oftentimes we
Good.
worry about so many things, but I found, I worry quite a bit. I found that my worrying just doesn't do any good because number one, most of the time I can't do anything to fix it. And then number two, after it's all done, you look back and you wonder, why did you worry about that? Because it was pointless to worry about that. And so just really in times like that, trusting in God and just praying, that just helped so much.
As you're thinking about where you're going from here, I mean, you're in college. Now, what are you studying?
I'm studying business administration.
So where do you want to go from here? Like what's one thing that you see as you're looking ahead, the next mountain you want to climb?
Well, I would definitely like to hire a team. So right now I work with contractors for certain things that are just easier for me to pass off to them. I would definitely like to hire a team to just be able to better serve my clients, and just build my business. Additionally, I think I want to build it here in Arkansas, because, I have clients here locally, but then also several that are out of state. And so really the possibilities are, I think, quite endless.
As you think about the future of your agency, what is one thing you want most in your business?
I would say to be able to serve the right customers. Not every customer is meant for your business, nor do you want every customer. And so just for the right people, for us to be able to connect. And that's what I would say.
What is stopping you these days?
That's a good question. I would say probably visibility. And so just working on just being more visible, more present.
There's so many challenges in the marketing space, and a lot of the people listening are struggling with a whole lot of different challenges, from relationships to client fulfillment to dealing with leading contractors like you are. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now as an entrepreneur?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that I'm facing is probably I'm pretty busy. And so oftentimes I feel almost like a ping pong ball going back client to client to client, bouncing back and forth. So that's something I'm struggling with right now. But then also an opportunity that I think is really amazing is AI, but also it kind of presents a struggle in it of itself, just balancing how do you use it? How do you not let AI become your voice? And so while it is a great tool, you have to use it carefully and thoughtfully.
As you are building your agency now several years in, more is demanded of you every year than was the year before. So how do you stay on top of your game? How do you level up with the new leadership skills that people like your clients and even the contractors who work with you are going to need you to have in the months and years ahead?
One of the things is to just be a constant learner. And so, whenever I finish college, now I believe that you should be a lifelong learner. And so whether that's from attending conferences or continuing education or doing courses or training, there's tons of ways to be able to learn or just talking with different people like you and I are doing right now to just be able to learn, hear from different people because different people have different perspectives. And I think that's so key and crucial, but then also just being able to delegate. So a story of that is a few weeks ago, one of my main business services is commercials, but I actually had a company come out and do one for my business instead of me trying to, be behind the camera, but then also in front of the camera at the same time. And so that company, it just went so much better than, I would have thought. They brought fresh ideas, perspectives I wouldn't have thought. And the final product was just absolutely amazing. And so just the power of delegating and realizing that, as a business owner, you shouldn't have to do everything alone because there truly is so much. You do have so much going on.
And if you can learn that skill now, you will be far ahead of many of the people that I work with. I think that's brilliant. Delegation is a superpower. Imagine that you are and have had people who give you advice when it comes to running a business, leading a team, serving clients. At this point, what would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
I would say the best advice that I've ever received is that, your customers and then, your employees, are the life of your business. And to just really take care of them and to just nurture them because without it, you're not much of anything.
You're at the beginning of your journey in a lot of ways. But if you had the ability to go back just a handful of years now and tell yourself something that you didn't know back then, what would you love to go back and tell yourself?
I would tell myself to be a little bit more patient and that patience is key and that it will all come in timing. Oftentimes we worry so much about this and that. And we try to do everything ourselves right now. I would say to just be a little bit more patient and to wait and realize that, it will all come in time.
That's good advice. Is there a book that's made a big difference in your journey that you would recommend to the leaders who are listening?
I would, number one, the Bible. It's a wonderful book. But then also How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a really great book. I would highly encourage anyone to just read that book. It's really amazing.
As I think about what you're doing, one of the things that you had shared is that you've been working on a marketing assessment tool for businesses and for organizations. What is your goal with that? What does that do?
Yeah. So really my goal with that is just to provide businesses, with a quick assessment and tool to kind of judge where they are with their marketing and to give them just insights, some competitors, what they're doing, things that they should be aware of, and to just really equip them to be able to do some stuff themselves.
And this is something that you offer for people to take and use this assessment.
Correct, it is.
And where do they go to do that?
They would go to my website. You can just visit it at GatliffMarketingConsultants.com.
We'll have that link in the show notes. Landon, a lot of people are looking at your story and listening to this and thinking, wow, man, you're juggling a lot right now. A full-time student, running a business full-time, serving clients, leading contractors. That's a lot. And with that comes challenges, come issues, come problems. If I had the ability to snap my fingers and solve one problem right now in your business, what would you like that problem to be?
I would say just to be able to, focus more on individual clients and attract higher level clients and just really providing just a value service. And so just being able to serve clients with a high value and just to be able to serve them well instead of having to take on just so many clients.
Landon, this has been a fascinating conversation to hear what's happened in your story so far. And I can't wait to see where you go from here. I think you're just getting started. And I think the sky's the limit. I know our listeners are going to want to stay connected to you and continue to learn more from you and about what you're doing. What's the best way for them to connect?
So you can either go through my website and you can actually book a consultation, or you can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's just Landon Gatliff.
We'll have that in the show notes. Landon, thanks so much for your time and for what you shared today.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.